Welcome to the intersection where land development converges with all things real estate. Hello, my name is Arley Greene, land development optimizer with Arley Property Group. I'm thrilled to continue our engaging conversation with entrepreneur and millennial Nikki Papp. In a previous segment, Nikki shared a candid and insightful cautionary tale about her journey into the tiny home market. She revealed unexpected challenges and lessons learned along the way. If you missed it, be sure to check it out on my YouTube channel, where Nikki uncovered the critical unknown unknowns of tiny home housing, an essential story for any homeowner or aspiring entrepreneur. She emphasizes the importance of thorough due diligence before diving into any venture. Today, we're excited to dive deeper into Nikki's experiences and steps to secure proper footing on your journey to successful tiny home planning and what to avoid. Nikki, can you remind the audience your story?
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me back, Arlie. For our listeners and viewers, if you have just started your journey and watching Arlie's content, learning about this tiny modular slash ADU home option, definitely encourage you to check out the first episode. That's where we really start the story of everything. But just to give a quick tidbit before we dive even deeper than the first episode, I was at the beginnings of a modular tiny home development project, and I learned a lot from it. Despite it going south and not really going as planned, I definitely still believe in modular and tiny homes as a direction to the housing crisis. I think this real estate type is one of many answers, and I will still pursue this for my own home at a later date when I am financially able.
Mm. Thanks for that introduction, Nikki. What would be the three things to do when deciding to go tiny?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. To start it off with, you need to really consider setting up your team properly. So I briefly alluded to that in our first episode recording. Now I'm going to dive even deeper into the actual roles that you want to really consider having your team of real estate professionals as you're diving into purchasing. So you're absolutely going to want to get your own lawyer. Don't rely on your real estate providing you a lawyer, which is what I did. That's number one mistake. I didn't have personal representation where that kind of did affect me. You're going to want a mortgage broker that actually understands the modular, tiny slash ADU direction of home category. You want a land development professional like yourself, Arlie, where that land development professional can give their expert opinion on the land you're considering to purchase to put these modular slash tiny slash ADU, whichever you decide to. You really want to make sure it's a solid financial purchase and financial decision, that you are not going to be getting into a bunch of extra hidden costs when actually preparing the land for your units to be delivered. You don't want to run into unknown unknowns, as you taught me. And so that's very important to get a proper land development professional. You want an insurance broker. So I'm going to give a quick little shout out to Lanny Mai. She's one of our gals in the real estate investor meetup that we do monthly. She's very knowledgeable about this type of thing, the different insurance products that you will need to make sure as you're going through your build, you need insurance, but you also need insurance on the final build. So I've learned that from one of her really informative presentations. So proper insurance broker is very important. And you want a trusted contractor for site prep and unit delivery and install. So what that includes is a contractor that can prepare the base for where your modular unit will be going. So there's usually a concrete slab. You have the option to get extra premium and actually have them dig a basement out for you. So you have even more space than what you are purchasing. I wasn't opting for that because I was running quite low on budget. And then alas, it didn't work out anyway. But that's a really great option. You can even have it where the modular unit is raised up, and then you can create a storage kind of spot the size of your home, the bottom part of it. So that could be a creative storage solution. So that's another option. You really want a contractor that understands this and knows what they have to do to make it properly set up. So you are not having your home sink into the land or all the other possibilities of what could go wrong with that. And additionally, you want that contractor or another one that specializes in unit delivery. So unit delivery includes picking up the unit fully built and equipped with all finishes, all appliances. It's like a home ready to get just plopped on land. It's ready to go, but they're going to need a crane and a specific truck that actually can carry that type of unit and that type of weight. But also you want someone that knows how to operate a crane properly. You don't want your house and your very expensive investment to go and get damaged because your contractor doesn't know what they're doing. You really want to make sure you vet that. You're also going to want to seek independent counsel. So being able to have your own real estate lawyer to review the entire agreement ahead of time helps avoid conflict of interest and full disclosure, and you see the bigger picture better. I really wish I did. It would have changed a lot of things. And finally, securing funding before signing or providing any types of deposits for land or modular homes. So that avoids loss of money mid-project due to not enough funds to complete the project, which is what happened to me. So don't do that. That's definitely a no-no. So I'm going to pause here. I have a few other points to add, but if you have anything to add here, Arlie, definitely feel free to do that.
How about we talk about the things to avoid?
Absolutely. Yes, definitely. So the one thing to start with, don't think you can manage the project on your own. Don't skip getting a team together because really, honestly, trying to do it on my own was not easy and really stressful. And every single person I've shared this story to that's a professional in the real estate industry has many, many years of experience that trumps my, I don't know, I'm only 34 years old, so not that much experience. I've had one house, that's about it. I should have really consulted with people that were seasoned and experts and know their stuff because it was really stressful. I wasn't even doing it on purpose or with an ego. I was doing it as of like desperation and necessity, and I didn't know what I didn't know at the time. The other thing is don't trust other real estate professionals. So don't rely on the lawyer that your real estate agent provides. Get your own lawyer. You have to make sure that you have a lawyer with your best interests in mind. Not that the lawyer I worked with didn't, but it was a conflict of interest. And I believe it would have served me much better to have my own lawyer in my own corner to really protect me on certain things with regards to the deal. The next thing you want to do is don't assume you'll get financing, that it'll all work out during the project, even if you're promised financing. No matter what anyone says, ensure you have a qualified and secured financing offer prior to going ahead with the project, as not doing so could have absolute dire consequences and a lot of money lost. Again, that's what happened to me. So don't do that. And don't assume that the land is a fit for a tiny or modular home project, even if it checks all the boxes off on paper. So that could include, it has utilities, it has the right space. You must work with a land development professional because there are pieces to this which you absolutely have taught me this. I'm going to butcher the terms, but basically the perimeters around the land. Like you have to, there's
Property
certain
lines?
property lines. There's certain regulations that you have to stick to. And if you go beyond that, your regional office or wherever you're getting your permits from will absolutely come at you and you may get fined. You may have to move your house. The whole project could go down south.
Yeah. Those are called setbacks. So you want to
Setbacks.
set a distance from the property line to where your tiny home will reside. So the distance is called a setback.
Setbacks. That is the term that wasn't coming to mind. And finally, the last thing you absolutely do not want to do is go with the flow and see what steps happen next. Get a deep understanding of the entire process ahead of you for better planning from time, money, mindset, and ultimately stress perspective. I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know what the proper process was supposed to even look like. This is my first go at this kind of creative, custom build type thing. And boy, did I wish I got everything clarified ahead of time because I was kind of flying by the seat of my pants. And that was very stressful. Arlie, I would love to hear from your perspective and your expertise as a land development professional. What are your recommendations on the top 3 things to do when trying to build a tiny modular or ADU home?
I'm so happy to answer that question. First of all, you should answer the questions to yourself. What are your goals and needs? Clarify why you are building the tiny home, whether it's for income, your guests, or a primary residence, and decide on the size and the features to suit your lifestyle. This helps create a design that meets your long-term needs. Secondly, I would check the municipality or the tiny home community rules early on to ensure compliance and avoid any legal issues. And if you're deciding to build your tiny home on someone else's property, have a conversation with the landowner and have all the agreements in writing. Understanding permit requirements and restrictions on size, placement, and use make the process smoother. And lastly, determine your budget and financing options. Set a clear budget that covers construction permits, utilities, and especially maintenance. And I have to say, because I'm doing the renovation right now, make sure that you have a buffer for overruns because that tends to happen. And as you're building, you just think that, I want to change the scope a little bit and add things to it. So you want to make sure that you're covered for those things. Your home may be tiny, but you still have to maintain it. Explore financing options like loans or grants to ensure that your budget is financially feasible and avoid unexpected costs. Nikki had mentioned this. Find mortgage brokers that specialize in or have connections on tiny home loans. It's just not your network, it's your network's network that can move you forward smoothly. You definitely want to take advantage of that.
Absolutely, you make very good points. Again, I wish you were here in my corner last
Oh,
year advising and guiding, but that's okay. We all take what we experience, learn from it, move forward. And that's what I'm doing right now. Now, if you
mhm.
could tell our listeners and viewers, what are your recommendations on the top three things to avoid when
All
building
right.
a modular, tiny, or ADU home?
That's very important also. You don't want to overlook regulations. Failing to research local laws and zoning requirements can result in delays, fines, or the need to modify or even dismantle your tiny home. So it's crucial to be well informed before beginning construction. One danger is underestimating costs, not accounting for all expenses involved in building and maintaining a tiny home can lead to budget overruns, as I mentioned before. It is important to include a contingency fund for unforeseen costs to prevent financial strain. And lastly, ignoring long term use. Neglecting to plan for your future needs or potential changes in your future situation may cause dissatisfaction or even costly modifications later on. Proper long term planning ensures that your tiny home remains functional and comfortable as circumstances evolve.
That's great. Yeah, there's a lot there. And I'm sure listeners and viewers will very much appreciate the things to avoid because it is something that you don't know what to avoid. You just kind of go with it. And you could definitely have a lot of things come up later as consequences of that,
Yes,
especially considering the long-term approach to how you're gonna live and what you're hoping for as your goal. It's really important rather than just like an immediate solution to
yes.
more of a desperate situation. So I really appreciate you talking about that. Now, Arlie, I'd really love for you to share with our listeners and viewers how people can get a hold of you. And I think you may have a gift for that.
I do. Let me just bring this up on my screen.
Awesome.
I have a QR code. Which way do I go? Okay. I know.
Nice. Right
I
up
bring
there. Oh my gosh, this is so funny.
I know, isn't it? Yes, I do have a gift for our viewers. It's the ultimate tiny home and ADU guide. And so you can just click on the QR code and fill out the form, and it will be emailed to you. So you can make sure that as you're going through the steps of building your ADU or your tiny home, that you're doing the right things.
So I said it last time, I'll say it again. If only I had this checklist to add to everything, I feel
Yeah.
like I'd be much more ahead, but that's all right.
And Nikki, you also have something to share with our audience.
I sure do. Let me just get that going here. It's just a little bit of an exciting spot for people to go. So, same as you. Yes, it's happening. There we go. Click that. You can get to my landing page on my personal portfolio website where it will go through my story very briefly, not all nitty gritty details. Talking about why tiny or tiny ADU modular are a option and a great solution to our housing crisis and how that might look. Then going into the best type of customer or buyer for one of these units, the different user personas outlined there. And finally, just the details of the three options that I currently have. And if you're interested in either of them, you'll see it visually. There's key technical details broken down there. You can definitely request more information, fill out the form, and I'd be happy to chat with you further about that. And if you need even more information, there will be a presentation that you and I had done. So a little bit of a deck, a little bit of a recording coming off of a YouTube channel that's there. And finally, a general of even more detail than what the landing page has if folks are wanting to learn more about the three different housing options and what the process looks like at high level with building.
Mhm. As we look to the future of housing affordability, it's clear that tiny homes holds tremendous promise. But to truly unlock their potential, do the due diligence. It's essential. Thank you, Nikki, for sharing your story. I know that it will have a positive ending. And
Thank you
I
so
know
much.
that a lot of the future tiny home owners and investors will benefit from your lessons learned. Thank you, and we'll see you at the next episode of The Intersection.
Thanks so much for having me, Arlie. Happy to share.